It's been a while. I think the last time we saw each other was Disneyland, I want to say.
Yeah, it was
In
Disneyland
person, I mean,
for.
cuz I was on the charity stream.
Oh yeah, we
But
had
yeah.
Indieland last year, which we
Right.
kind of saw each other, but at least physically we saw each other
That would
during
have been game days.
game days. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was with Ray as well.
Yeah.
Which was that was a good time. So it's been a hot second, but how have things been, all things considered?
I think things have been pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think I have an office down here in Torrance and there's 20 of us working out of it, and so now with
Mm.
kind of the COVID lockdown happening, we went from 20 people in the office to probably just me.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and then, my manager Fraser or my merch guy Ted. So it's kind of been the three of us in our own bubble, just kind of
Yeah.
checking in with each other. But for the most part, it's been pretty isolating to say the least. Obviously, just given everything with the world.
Sure.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm like good as I can be. Yeah, like I think I managed to make the transition to COVID quarantine like okay, like
Mm-hmm.
with like voiceover and such. A lot of it is either done with safety regulations in studio or done at home, so nothing too crazy. What have you, if you have free time, what's been taking up your free time? Anything you're up to?
Oh man, I feel like I had more free time. I think kind of what I've kind of fallen into is um I've been watching a lot of wrestling,
Okay,
which is something that I grew up a lot with when I was a kid. I was super into
sure.
wrestling. And then when I got into high school, I kind of got over it, but like in 2015 when Xavier Woods and the New Day guys were
Mm.
in the gaming scene with Up Down Down, I hung out with them a lot. I met with them, and like at the top of the pandemic, I subscribed to WWE Network and
Mm.
just started watching old matches from when I was a kid, matches that
Yeah.
I saw in person. I never actually got to see what the camera shots looked like. So,
Wow.
I've kind of been using that as my motivation to stay in shape and to stay focused. I've been trying to, I put on a ton of weight at the beginning and kind of, in the middle of the pandemic. And so I've been working really hard I changed my diet completely. I'm sleeping
Mm.
better. I'm working out, at least 4 times a week, mostly
Mm-hmm.
cardio, just to, try and shed the weight. Cause man, that's the big thing that really affected me was just the staying at home, eating, not
Yeah.
exercising, just kind of got to me.
Right. I've got a lot of friends who are into the wrestling. I have like no exposure to it at all, other than what I see on like Twitter. But as a kid, was it the spectacle, the storylines, the personalities? What was it? What was it then that was the appeal, and then what is it now? Has it changed? Your like what appeals to you, or is it nostalgic, or what is it?
It's funny you say that because I actually been asking myself that the last few weeks
Yeah.
more recently, given how like I'm now an adult who's into it.
Uh huh.
Um, I think when I was a kid, it was really born in the spectacle of the characters. Seeing
Mm.
like everyone always loves The Rock in movies, but kind of knowing who The Rock was before he was a star.
Yeah.
He was my favorite wrestler, and to see him succeed as an actor, as a voice actor, as a performer, is kind of what was my guiding light as a young boy, because I was into theater and film and voice acting, and that was my initial creative charge for why I ended up on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing about wrestling that I loved so much that I couldn't have, because I was disabled for a long part of my life. I couldn't really do any
Mm.
physical activity, and seeing these actors or these performers, these entertainers get on stage and cut a really like funny as hell, aggressive Macho Man promo and then go into this beautiful ballet of violence always was just the most fascinating thing of the duality of man, right? Like the
Sure.
compassionate and the emotions versus the physicality of beating someone up. And I think the storylines were always funny, but to me, it was
Mm-hmm.
about the performances. It was always about
Mm.
looking at, like when you think about The Rock, for example, but what people know of him,
Yeah.
he gives himself all these incredible names. The People's Champion, the Great One, and the
Hmm.
People's Eyebrow is like his moniker, and his move is the People's Elbow, where he like throws his arms from side to side and like leaps from one side of the ring and delivers an elbow drop. And you think about that, you're like, that's so stupid. That's so dumb, right? But
Yeah. Yeah.
you look at that and you go, but there's appeal. There's a reason why he succeeded from that and why people loved him and still love him to this day, for that matter. And I think
Sure.
that's why I connected with it so much. And being an older guy now, looking back and talking to Adam Cole and Xavier Woods and those guys,
Yeah.
seeing them kind of be the new modern age wrestlers, and those guys are our age, which is really rad. They're within
Hmm.
our age range, so it's interesting knowing those guys are in the industry now, because they approach it so much more methodically and carefully, and they really think about what they're going to do next. And that just
Mm.
makes me honor it even more, and or appreciate it more, because then you really, as an actor, it's a play. It's memorizing lines, and it's
Yeah.
memorizing moments and beats and living in those beats and moments and getting your objective and your want. And so, there is this soap opera-esque thing to it all, but it's just so fascinating to see these guys do their thing, and they're having fun. That's the best part, is there's a
Mm.
certain level of fun to it.
Right. When you were a kid, did you understand that it was like a story, or were you like convinced it was real?
I think there was a part of me that knew it was not real, but I think
Hmm.
that's what made it more fun. Because I was the
Sure.
kid that was told wrestling is fake before I even liked it. And I
Uh
think
huh.
because I knew it was fake, it like let me have no expectations.
Yeah.
So, so to think about like it's fake, but like this dude jumped off a 30-foot ladder and landed on his back. Like, no
Right.
matter what you say, that hurts. That's a painful
Yeah.
feat this guy did. Whether or
Yes.
not the circumstance was real or not doesn't matter. This man just threw himself off of a ladder 30 feet in the air and did a flip. That's gotta hurt. And that to me was always the fun part. Was it may be fake in terms of the stories, but the physicality was super real and still is real.
Yeah. Like I feel like anyone who just I don't think it's something people really say now, but back in the day, we're like wrestling's fake. It's like, do you also go to like musicals and shout at the stage like, "This is fake. These people aren't real." I always think, yeah, it's like because it's I guess because people like go, well, it's a sport, right? Well, it's more than it's a show, right? It's a performance, like you said, like it's acting, and it really is like a play with huge stunts, which is fucking rad. Like I look at like clips of sort of modern wrestling and go, huh, I kind of want to like check that out. Like something about that is really it has the same sort of maybe not the same sort of appeal, but a similar appeal to how people were really into tokusatsu shows. Tokusatsu like Sentai, Kamen Rider,
Yeah.
that sort of thing, where it's
Yeah, yeah,
campy,
yeah.
right? It's campy, but it's bold and just full of fun, and you know people who are really into tokusatsu are really into it, just like wrestling fans are.
Yeah.
So there's like an infectious sort of quality of fun to it that I could totally get behind.
Well,
Um,
I know that you're a big theme park guy, and I'm
yes.
sure you've been to Universal Studios many a time,
Hmm.
and you've gone and seen the Waterworld show, right? No one remembers Waterworld the movie, but
Right, that show's amazing.
that show's incredible. You have dudes, getting shot with grenade launchers and falling into the water, and there's stuntmen, and that's basically what wrestling is, just with a lot more stunts. And so when you kind
Yeah.
of pull back a little bit and kind of see where the elements are, you start to kind of fall in love with the stunt aspect, and the acting part is what justifies the stunt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's great. You mentioned something before that I don't think I actually knew, and you don't have to talk about this if you don't want to, but you mentioned you were actually disabled when you were younger, physically.
Yeah, well, and it's really fascinating, especially because one of the big things I've been learning about my health in more recent times is the diagnosis of my life has changed quite a bit, especially in the last 48 hours. Um,
Mm.
but the day I was born January 3rd, 1988, and I was born with this blue like almost like rubbery mass in my back. It looked like I had a
Okay.
blue thing sticking out right above my tailbone. And
Huh.
this was in, 1988, where the technology was up and coming, but there wasn't a lot of
Sure.
known qualities about this. And
Yeah.
so I have a huge scar on my spine. They cut me wide open. They looked at it, and instead of having like lower back muscle, in its place was this blue kind of non-cancerous mass that
Huh.
was there, and it was like embedded into my spinal cord. Like it's a part of my system.
Mm.
And the doctors took it out as much as they could, but they were worried if they
Yeah.
took too much that I could be paralyzed from the waist down, or I could
Uh-huh.
something could happen. And so they patched me up, and they told my parents, look, as long as he has a normal childhood and he doesn't hurt himself, this mass should go away, and his you know his immune system should just build up a tolerance to all these masses, and he'll just get
Mm.
rid of it. They called it spinal hemangioma, which is
Okay.
basically my body creates these non-cancerous masses that just show up. And the way I describe it is like, imagine if you got off of a freeway and the freeway doesn't actually go anywhere, and then eventually enough cars pile up on the freeway to then like get onto the freeway and be a problem. That's basically what they are. Is they get in the
Mm.
way.
I see.
And so when I was 3, I fell off a swing set, landed right on my spine, went
Oof.
back to the doctor. It inflamed, it was enlarged, and it expanded to the rest of my immune system, and
Mm.
kind of solidified itself within me. And so from the day I was born until today, I have gotten a lot of corrective procedures, a lot of MRIs, a lot of tests,
Mm.
a lot of the early knowledge of this stuff. They write about patient X in books. I'm patient X. Like, there's not a lot
Wow.
of known things about it. And
Uh-huh.
I recently just switched from my insurances because, yay, America, health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And I switched from Blue Shield to Kaiser. And in
Mm-hmm.
joining Kaiser, I showed them my records, showed them my diagnosis, and they were like, "Oh, no, you don't have what you think you have. You have something else." And they're
Oh.
similar. They're very, very similar in the same category. But what I actually ended up having, it wasn't spinal hemangioma. It was something called blue. What is it called? Blue rubber. I gotta look it up because the name is super complicated.
It sounds way less scientific.
Yes, yeah. It sounds really
if
stupid.
it starts with that.
It's called blue rubber bleb Nevis syndrome.
Okay.
And it's a rare disorder that basically is abnormal blood vessels that affect the skin or internal organs, and it's a disease. And they basically these blue
Mm.
little masses appear in my body, and they fill with blood, and they get big and big and big, and they're very rubbery. They don't they don't pop like pimples or anything.
Yeah.
But when they get really big in certain areas of my body, they actually affect how I function.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I had one right on my lip that like
Yeah.
blew up, and it would constantly pop. And so people would be like, "Oh, you have chocolate on your mouth," and they'd give me a napkin, and I'm like, "That's not chocolate. That's blood. That's gross." So I've gotten, I think I've gotten, if I recall, I'm at 22 corrective procedures.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a really debilitating part of my life, but I think the reason why I was able to bounce back from it so strongly was because that kind of propelled me at a young age to get into acting and performing, because I
Yeah.
could be someone who I wasn't. I could be not me and take on the role of a character or a person. And just for that one little moment, I didn't have to worry about my health problems. And that was kind of
I see.
my true kind of drive to become an actor.
Gotcha. And so this still is it as severe as it was when you were younger today?
Not as severe, but lately I've been getting a lot more new ones that show up. I got a lot of corrective procedure. The last major one I got, I was 19, and they kind
Uh-huh.
of said, "Hey, we dried out the big mass, so you should be okay." But in the last, I'd say 2 years, probably since the beginning of the pandemic and a little extra more, I've gotten a lot of new ones, and a lot of invasive ones that have required some pretty immediate surgery. There was a fear that dermatologists didn't want to touch these because they would, can't get them to stop bleeding and whatnot. But now
Uh-huh.
that dermatologists have insane technology of burning and cauterizing and freezing,
Mm-hmm.
it's so much more treatable to handle the surface ones. So if I get new
Okay.
ones, I just go to a dermatologist and they burn them off, no problem, or cut them or freeze them. But the ones that are underneath the skin, the ones that affect my muscles or that kind of stuff, those ones require very, very serious surgery where they have to cut the skin and make sure that
Mm.
the mass is not embedded into any kind of organs or systems. So those are the ones that are always the scariest, but I haven't had one of those procedures probably since I was about 25. That was the last time I had a
Gotcha.
serious one.
Gotcha. Wow. Yeah, I never knew of that. Is it besides obviously the it just sucking in a lot of ways, but is it life threatening in any way, or is it more so just as long as you get the procedures you're okay, or?
It's mostly just annoying, but I think
Mm-hmm.
now that it's been diagnosed to be blue rubber bleb and vis syndrome, God, I still can't get over the name. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they say that one of the most common, there's only 150 known cases that have been documented on this blue rubber bleb nevis syndrome thing,
Mm-hmm.
and they say that if it gets to your gastrointestinal tract, that's a
Mm-hmm.
problem
Okay.
because then it just bleeds into your GI tract and you can't stop it. And so
I see.
one of the more common things is of a sign of this is that you become super anemic. Um,
Mm.
and I recently was diagnosed with severe anemia. So
Mm-hmm.
um, it's kind of been a little worrying 48 hours for me because I'm about to go in to go see a neurologist and they're gonna check my GI tract and hopefully there's nothing there and then I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it could lead to some pretty severe complications. But besides
I
that
see.
scary life thing, the rest has been very, very treatable, very doable. Most of it's just been an annoyance or a visual thing. Like if I go swimming, someone's like, "Oh God, what the hell's on your arms?" And I'm like, I can't explain. It's gonna take 3 hours.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, I hope I didn't bring up something you didn't want to talk about.
No,
Like,
no, no.
no,
I'm very
yeah.
open about this stuff. This is
Sure,
if
sure.
I can educate and help someone and inform stuff, I'm all for it.
Yeah. For me, not. I mean, I don't want to necessarily say this is comparable to, but something that I have grown up with my whole life is I don't know if you knew this, but I'm basically half blind. In one of my eyes is basically blind. I don't know if I've ever spoken to you
No,
about this.
I mean I know you had glasses, but I never knew it was that severe.
It's pretty severe. Basically, when you know what, are you familiar with cataracts?
Yes.
Yeah. So when I was born, I had cataracts. Pretty severe cataracts, and so through pretty much like up to I want to say first grade, a lot of elementary school, there was a lot of surgery. So I had a cataract surgery in first grade. But by then, it was pretty much too late because your vision develops when you're younger, right? Like when all that developmental phase of the brain basically is all early childhood. But
Yeah.
since the cataracts, however, blocked it, even with the cataracts removed, and I've also had like laser eye surgeries on it. That doesn't really do anything. Excuse me. It is essentially like, yeah, that eye just won't work right. Like it's very hard to describe, but basically, looking through my this one eye, it's like an incomplete image almost. It's very hard to describe to people because they go, "Is it blurry?" I'm like, "It's not." I mean, it is blurry, but it almost feels like you're not getting the full picture. Like I can see, quote unquote, but it's like, yeah, no, it's an incomplete image. So yeah, my right eye is basically what I really see through. And I have like a prism on my glasses to help like sort of correlate the vision, but I still can't really see through it. And actually, as a result, I think I've spoken about this on the podcast before, but a couple of years ago, I can not. Well, it's a no, that's not complicated. But basically, I no longer drive anymore.
Gotcha.
Because of it, because California's driving laws are much stricter. I was driving for fucking 14 years, 13 years, right? No problem. And then when I moved here and went in to renew my license, because I obviously failed the eye test on my left eye, they basically told me, because in California is one of the few states where if you want to drive, drive no problem, you have to have vision in both eyes. In a lot of states like Michigan, where I was from, there was just one eye is good enough. And so I would have to get like a doctor's permission to maybe take the test again, and it was all this shit. And I was like, fuck it. I was like, I don't want to deal with this shit again. Like, going through all these hoops of maybe getting doctor's permission to maybe get to I don't want to take the fucking driver's test again. So I was honestly a little insulted. Like, can't you see I've been driving for 12, 14 years, no problem. But at this point now, it's like get rides or Lyft, because it's like I don't want to deal with it anymore. I also hated driving anyway.
I mean, in LA specifically, it's like you're not missing that much.
I'm not missing a whole lot. I had a lot of anxiety driving anyway. So for my wife, she was like, just stop driving. Like you hate driving. Yeah. So that's sort of been my own little medical experience in my life that I don't think a lot of people know about, but it's also a thing.
Do you feel like because of your eye that it's kind of this is more of a philosophical question than anything? Do you feel like it's made you stronger or made you more resilient to like living your life normally?
I do think so, yes, because I think a lot of people take a lot of things for granted, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you feel this way, right? Well, you have no health problems? Like, oh, that sounds great. Like, and, for me, my eye, I don't have any, like, severe health problems aside from that, but I have like, I've got, like, bad genes, basically. So I've got, like, cholesterol problems and shit. And so, but really the eye thing, it is kind of like, I mean, at least you got both eyes working, right?
Yeah, right.
At least you don't have to worry about driving. I mean, even on like a, just like simple things of like, man, it must be nice to swim without just being completely blind, like not being able to see anything, shit like that. But obviously for you must feel the same way.
I dream of the day that I can touch my toes again. You know what I mean? I wish, because I grew up as a performer, dancer, singer, so I used to be very flexible, and
sure,
over the years my back getting worse and worse because of the mass. It's like I can't even get past my knees, and I'm like, it'd be so great if I could put socks on without being in pain,
Yeah. Well, but you've been doing cardio, which God, I should honestly be doing that. I have, I definitely developed some bad habits during this quarantine. Like I'm hoping to, I think for me before quarantine, like I was doing pretty good, like going to the sort of gym in our complex, like, regularly and that sort of thing. And then, well, that closed down because of COVID, and I don't have a convenient way of exercising. Yes, I could walk outside, but, going outside is a whole thing. So, for you, I guess I'm curious, what for your cardio, is that just running outside? Do you have like a treadmill? What's your sort of routine?
You're gonna laugh at me.
Oh, try me.
Dance Revolution.
Oh shit! Yeah, do you have a machine?
I do. Yeah.
Whoa, that's awesome. Okay.
So, when I first started YouTube in 2011, After like in my mind, I was like, man, it'd be so cool to have my own DDR machine. I made no money on YouTube for the first 4 or 5 years, and so
Mm-hmm.
I just kept thinking to myself, like, man, if I could just get a DDR machine, like I wouldn't care about not making any money. It just
Yeah.
that's the dream. And
Yeah.
so Proton John and his now wife Lucagen
Mm-hmm.
online, they were my friends, and they knew I really wanted one, and so they held like a stream to raise money to help me get one.
Yeah.
And so I got one. I got a DDR 8th mix, which is DDR Extreme, and because it's my favorite at the time, and it still is. And I got the machine, and I've taken care of it over the years. It's been my favorite thing of all time. But as you probably know, with antiques like arcades, if they're not like well proper, looked at for, they can break pretty easily. And so,
Mm.
a couple years ago, my machine broke, and I was freaking out about it. I didn't know what to do. I was real depressed. It's like, man, this is my pride and joy. I want to be able to keep doing this thing.
Yeah.
And so I had a friend who's a his name's Damien. He's really into restoring arcade machines and stuff, and he had a friend of a friend who was a fan of mine, and they were very much in the zone of like, hey, did you know that you can take your arcade machine and turn it into a big USB hub for your computer?
Oh.
And I was like, no, I didn't. And so these guys came over, they installed a brand new, beautiful LED screen in my machine,
Yeah.
and they took the speakers, the lights, and the actual dance pads from a machine and turned them into USB. So I can hook it up into a computer. So
Wow.
I was able to get Stepmania, which is like the most common emulator-esque type program for Dance Dance Revolution.
Yeah.
And people online have been making official dance packs for years.
Uh-huh.
And so they just literally plugged them into my computer. I installed Stepmania, and within about 5 minutes, I had every DDR song ever officially released.
Wow.
And
That's fucking
what was even
dope.
cool about that is I realized that it's a normal computer, so I stream myself playing Dance Dance Revolution, and it's been such a awesome journey because fans can donate money or spend channel points or whatever to pick a song, and so they'll be like, "Hey Jirard, play this song on the hardest setting," and I'm like, "All right, here we go, Sora Fan 22, let's do this."
Yeah.
And it's been fun because people have been watching my progression since I started, so it's getting more difficult on me I'm adapting faster than I thought I would, and so I'm already down about 25 pounds, and I'm still hoping to keep it going
Nice.
for a while. But it's been really fun to have my community kind of involved in that little bit of health encouragement too. It's been really cool.
Are you dope at it? Are you very good?
Yeah, yes, I would say
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at it. I wouldn't say, I like if I were to go into the arcades right now to play against other players, I would probably lose 9 out of 10 times because while I am pretty good, I play for fun and I don't play for points.
Sure.
And a lot of the DDR scene, especially back when I was playing it a ton in arcades, they're like, man, if you get more than 10 greats on a song, you're trash. And so that's kind of been my mentality whenever I'm playing a song and I'm like, I got 20 greats, I'm the worst player of all time, I need to walk away from the machine.
Wow. But for you, so you're basically you're very good for compared to, let's say, the average person. Like you're like,
Yeah, I'd say so.
okay, yeah, because for me, I have little to no experience, so I would be dog shit. But if I watched you, I'm sure I'd be fucking amazed. Is there a favorite track of all time?
Oh man. Yeah, I think I forget what it's called. So most of the DDR Japanese songs are way better than the American songs. I grew up so how I got into DDR is when I was like 13 or 14, I was a really heavy set kid. And my sister had friends over, and I had a PS2, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna play DDR." I didn't know what it was, but they asked me to set it up. And the original like mixes of DDR in the States were very like basic. Like I'm sure you've heard of like Butterfly. Everyone's always talking about that one DDR song, Butterfly. I, you're my little butterfly. Like,
Yeah.
everyone knows that song. but I learned quickly that after playing those mixes so often that like no one plays those songs, and everyone plays the Japanese versions or like the higher mixes, and so I learned pretty quickly to not get too attached to any one song.
Sure.
But and most of them are from you know, like anime from Japan or Korean shows or things like that. So one of my favorite songs is called Sobaku Freckles, and it's this really kind of J-poppy song, and it's fun, you know. It's not too difficult. It's very endurance based, you know. It's not like not a lot of jumping, but a lot of kind of what I call running in place.
Is it the Rurouni Kenshin opening?
It might be.
Is it Soba? Are you saying Sobakasu?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the Rurouni Kenshin opening. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's a great song.
Yeah. So in the States we'd call it like Sobuka Freckles, because like in Japanese we can't read it, so they call it Freckles. But yeah,
this one's like da 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 da.
Yes.
Yeah. Rurouni Kenshin
one.
opening. Yeah, that's a great song.
I figured as much. I figured it's a popular anime. I know like the Lupin the Third's theme is on there too. And a lot of songs like that. But yeah, Freckles is hands down one of my favorites because it's a nice balance between difficult, but the song is so fun you just don't see the difficulty catch up to you. It's kind of just like you're going for a jog, if you will, and it's definitely one of my favorites for sure.
That's a good choice. Now, I like to give the guests an opportunity. Is there a topic that you would like to bring up, or a question for me, or anything that comes to mind for you? If not, don't worry about it. But if there is, I'd like to give you a chance to either bring up something or ask me anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think you and I talked about this a little bit when you and I first met at Game Days, because we had known each other on Twitter DMs and Facebook for quite some time, but we didn't actually hang out until Game Days. I'm always curious when I talk to my other creator friends, as the years go on, it feels like the circle of who we communicate with and trust gets like smaller and smaller. So what I wanted to kind of ask you is I guess looking at the year 2021 in its own bubble with part 2 of 2022 or 2020. Where do you feel like we're all going to be a couple years from now with regards to how this industry is going? You know, like I'm desperately looking for myself personally into getting off of YouTube and social media and trying to get more into the traditional production side. But do you kind of see, you know, what are your feelings and thoughts about that, I guess?
Sure. No, I think that's a great question. I guess before I answer, I'm actually curious, you say production, where would you like to be sort of position wise, let's say in the future, if you could, if things go like exactly the way you want?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to make films or series for a major corporation like a Hulu or a Netflix. Whether I'm producing behind the scenes or I'm the star, it doesn't really matter. I'm, you know, I think my friends and I joke around that like I'm the Adam Sandler of the group, in the essence that I'm trying to get as famous as possible so that we can just get paid to make dumb shit the way that we want to. Sure. And so, you know, out of all my friends, there's a few of us that succeeded in our fields, but I've been the one that's kind of been hiring my friends to stay with me and to produce stuff with me because, you know, I've you know, achieved my dreams as a YouTuber, as a creator. You know, I obviously have more ambitions and things I want to accomplish, but I really want to get to a point where I can go to my friends who are producing things or want to produce things and go, don't worry about it. Here's the money. Make your thing. You know, let's make your cartoon show. Let's make your album. Let's make your short film or your let's put on a play or a musical in Los Angeles in a theater somewhere. Yeah. Because I've always been that creative type that just wants to produce and make things, and that's why I kind of got on YouTube to begin with, because I was kind of tired of working for someone else to work on their thing instead of working on my thing and hopefully making more things to come out of that. So that's kind of where I'm hoping to be, right, is to have my audience online transfer into the other things that don't rely on a YouTube algorithm or a social media post, you know?
Yeah. For me, it's interesting. Like, in terms of YouTube, I've always tackled YouTube on my own. Like, I've always pursued it and tackled it on my own terms. I stubbornly refuse to compromise, and always have gone. This is how I like to do it, despite the fact that it would be much smarter to not. But I think what has helped me sort of is that my priority was always voice acting first and foremost, no matter what, right? So my sort of ambition is to just keep doing what I'm doing, right? Like the voice acting and I mean voice acting. It to me it's the same, but acting is what's most important. And then if YouTube keeps going, that's great. I mean, like, if I you see a lot, you think about a lot of channels, right? Because you and I have been around for a long time, and there are so many there are so many channels you can name that were once rock stars, right? Huge channels, at least for the time, and they're kind of gone, right? They just you never know when it will stop, and I think a lot of us are conscious of that, and so for me it's I'm just gonna keep doing it as long as I still enjoy it, on my own terms. And if it gets to a point where it either doesn't want me anymore or I don't want it anymore, I'll move on to something else, because it was never my ambition. It was more of an accident that I've been very grateful for, and it's been very, very good to me. But at the same time, who the fuck knows, right? Like, some people can ride it out and keep going, and I think for me, it is I'll be doing it as long as I enjoy it, and it can still be a viable source of income and sort of livelihood. Right now it's going good, so I can't complain. Of course, that can change. That can change, right? Like, it wasn't always this way, and very easily, like, they'll change something, and no videos can be seen by anybody. Great. I think a lot of people, rightfully so, because it's our jobs, but they it sucks, right? Because you put a lot of work into some shit, and then it just doesn't do well, and it's like, great, well, this should do well, and I feel like, what changed? Well, the fucking algorithms and what it'll show people, and people don't check their subs. It's you can't really. So much of it is out of your control. So I guess, long story short, I'll do it as long as I can. But I think I'm in a similar kind of mindset as you, as my priority is elsewhere. My priority is outside of it. I don't envision this as oh yes, this will last forever. For me, I have other things I'm aiming for that, if YouTube can work alongside it, that's great, and if not, then I'll just focus more on that in the future. But we'll see.
Yeah, I've been doing this for 10 years this year. This marks 10 years of me completing a game a week every week.
Yeah.
To get a video out.
Yeah.
And to fathom that commitment, I'm so happy and honored and thrilled that I've been able to do it for 10 years. But I guarantee, around year 5 or year 6, I felt this change of, I can't really be myself anymore on the platform, because I need to fulfill the beast of getting content out.
Yes.
And so it's been, I made a video last year called "I Hate Feeling Like This," and it was kind of just like the first time ever in my YouTube career where I just was like, hey, I'm gonna vomit everything about YouTube that affects me and other creators, and no one's talking about it, and it's a poisonous lifestyle that we all as creators have to kind of go through that
Mm-hmm.
we don't really communicate about. And I made that video, and it kind of felt like I was getting a huge like weight off my shoulders.
Yeah.
But I think what kind of solidified that this place isn't for me like I want it to be, like it used to be, is that that video hit #1 on trending worldwide for
Mm.
about 30 minutes,
Mm.
and then it stopped.
Mm. Yeah.
And I think that just like I don't know if it's a YouTube thing. I don't know if someone was curating it, but it was the fastest growing. I posted it and I got in the first 10 minutes I was at 100,000 views, which
Sure.
I've never seen any one of my videos ever have that effect.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because I just kind of felt like I took down the happy-go-lucky vibe that I output and just said, "Hey, this is a serious problem."
Yeah.
And to kind of see the platform kind of go, "Your problem's not that important," by unplugging it and not showing it to people,
Yeah.
it just kind of put this weird feeling in my chest, and it made me rethink everything. I got a new agent,
Mm-hmm.
which I think you and I now share the same agent, which is kind of cool.
Are you with Peter?
Yeah, Peter's a great guy.
Yeah. Peter's great. Yeah.
Yeah, he one of the reasons why I signed with him is because I knew that he represented you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and because I mean, you've always been like a hard worker and a solid dude, and if you're working with Peter, then like that's gotta mean something for you and him. So,
Mm.
I signed with him at the beginning of the pandemic last year, and working with CAA has been such a game changer. It just
Yeah.
feels like I'm being heard, and stuff's getting done and moved, and almost all the projects I have in the works have nothing to do with YouTube, which has always been my goal.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like I had to make that video to kind of tell my audience and tell the world that, hey, I'm not going to be around forever. It's 10
Yeah.
years of me doing this, but there is a point in my life where this fantasy to be a quote unquote influencer kind of goes away and kind of dies down.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of hit it up. You said the best of like, I'm very fortunate that I have this lifestyle, and then I've worked my ass off to preserve that lifestyle.
Yeah.
But there's just a certain level of mental health and physical health and emotional health that is kind of slowly draining. And I mean, I'm lucky that I started when I was 23,
Mm-hmm.
but I see the TikTok crew and the remnants of the early Viners,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm thinking to myself, to be that successful at 12 or
Oof.
13 or 14,
Yeah.
I can't be. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that emotional weight of being an influencer at the age of 14 years old. It's incredible. I could never do it. I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't want anyone to feel that weight because, man, it's unfathomable. If I'm 33 and I can't handle it, how's a 14-year-old kid supposed to handle it?
I 100% agree. That is terrifying to me, that thought, right? Like, like, it's a wild west, this whole, as social media becomes more and more prevalent and, engrossing, right? And, the kids are getting younger and younger. Yeah, I'm in full agreement with you. I'm very glad to hear though that you're with CAA, because that was also a very big shift in sort of my my trajectory as well. Like, I think you're, and it already sounds like you're doing great with them, but I have no doubt that they will do nothing but help you out, because they've been very, very helpful for me as well in doing what I want to do. So I'm glad to hear that, man. That I remember that video that you posted, and to me it really did feel refreshing. Of like, yeah, let's fucking talk about it, right? This is something that a lot of people can't really understand, but I think you presented it in a way that was honest and also easy for people to understand. Oh, this is how people feel in this position. So I think it was good to be that honest.
The thing I learned most is that while majority of the comments and the interactions online were very positive on social media, I found that I kind of ignited this audience of that was very, I didn't know existed, but it was a very, not hatred. Hatred is not the word. Envious is the word. A lot of people kind of going, hey, shut up, kid. You've been here for 10 years. Like I've been doing this for 15 years and I have 100 subscribers and my time hasn't come yet. Like, shut up with your gatekeeping and you're in a position of power and all this stuff. And it's like the grass is so much greener on the other side. You think exactly what it is and how to get there and when you get there, how great it's going to be. But it's so much more different than you think it is. And I think that always gets lost because I think there's this essence of fame, right? There's this essence of, I want to be a creator. I want to be a YouTuber, a Twitch streamer, a TikToker, what an Instagram social media influencer. You want that so badly that when you finally get it, you realize that, oh, the money is not great and there's a lot of work to be done here. And then there's this weird social hierarchy of, oh, I want to be friends with everyone. But then, you make a relationship that doesn't actually benefit you and hurts you and you get taken advantage of. And then you feel like everyone just wants to take advantage of you and you can't trust anyone. And it's almost like you're playing a professional version of high school and there's no money.
Right.
Like there's the idea of it, right? There's the idea of money and the idea of, oh man, this one brand deal can bring me $5,000 or whatever. It's so cool that I can do that. But it's so not about that ever. It's always, that's the part that you wish was so much more often than not happening. But really it's the engagement, it's the comments, it's the pressure to be role models for people and to succeed at being a role model.
Yeah.
And when someone in your community isn't a role model anymore or gets canceled or does something inappropriate and abuse of power, then it just kind of makes that pressure on you to be that much more of a better person. And that pressure that means no mistakes,
Right.
I grew up in a Middle Eastern family where like if I got a B, I got in trouble.
Yeah, me too.
If I wasn't being a doctor or a lawyer, I was shunned. I had to convince my family that I was going to be an entertainer, and to this day they still think I'm crazy for it. And to have that the familia side of it, right? That family pressure coexist with what this platform is.
Yeah.
It's not really a fun time.
Yeah. When it becomes your livelihood and it is something that is so unstable, that really I think is something that a lot of people don't fully comprehend. I think people view voiceover the same way. They're like, oh, well, that must be so great. Like, and it's like, well, every job in voiceover could be your last. Like, you have no idea. You have to fight every other voice actor to get every job you've ever gotten, and then even then you're like, well, I hope I can get more. Like, even if it's a show, like that won't last forever. It's a very similar thing. So I'm glad I picked two things that have no stability whatsoever to follow. Like, but I think I tell people, at least on the voiceover side, you gotta want it real bad, because otherwise there's a lot of shit you gotta get through. Like you said, grass is greener. Now, to kind of let's go into more maybe positive direction. Once this shit's all taken care of, like. Have you been vaccinated yet?
Yeah, I got my first dose a few weeks ago. I got my second dose on the 8th.
Nice. Oh shit! So you're like on the 8th, so you're pretty much okay then.
Yeah, 6 days away. I get my second dose, and then I'm technically completely quarantine free.
Nice.
It's like April 21st, something like that.
Cool. Yeah, I just got mine not that long ago, like the other day. So. When everything's semi back to normal, what are you excited for?
I'm excited to go back to Disneyland.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, you and I both share this in common. Like, we're Disney heads, right?
Yes.
You know, we've had the passes. I'm bummed they took them away. I hope they bring them back.
Yeah, and they'll bring him back in some form. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just Disneyland and conventions are the two things that I really miss.
If you could go to Disneyland right now, let's say it's open and you could go, what would you do?
If I could go right now, I would probably go on Big Thunder first.
Good choice.
Big Thunder just has this huge scope of, you can see so many different parts of Disneyland. It's not a huge coaster, but it's an outdoor coaster, so you just get to experience everything.
Yeah.
So quickly and so clearly.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of already forgot there was Star Wars Land. Like,
did you ride Rise to the Resistance?
No, I didn't.
I haven't yet. I'm so desperate to go on it. Oh man, I hear it's amazing.
I forgot about that ride came out. I've only been on the
Millennium Falcon,
the Han Solo one,
yeah,
or the Millennium Falcon one. Yeah, I'd love to go there, and I'd love to eat at the Blue Bayou.
Blue Bayou is great. I
love that place.
Yeah, a lot of people are going about what's it called, Carthay Circle or whatever.
Yeah,
I think Blue Bayou has it beat easy.
Yeah. Carthay Circle's good if you're with friends. You know, like if you're just trying to, you got a big group of friends, you want to kind of just get away from everything. But like the atmosphere in Blue Bayou, man, you can't beat that. It's so fun in there.
Yeah, atmosphere is great, and the food is fucking good. Like it's not as expensive as Carthay, but I think it's like, I don't know. I actually prefer it. Like, I really love Blue Bayou. That's a great choice too.
Have you done Club 33?
No, I would love to. Have you?
Yo, we're going. We're going.
Let's fucking do it.
I got you. We're going.
Do you have an in?
Yeah, my dad has done business with so many people at like Coca-Cola and Pepsi and Avion, all those guys. I took Aaron and Susie from Game Grumps, Matt, Pat, and his wife, and myself and my girlfriend. We all went to Club 33, and it was so good. I was so no one had been before, so it was like a really cool thing to like let everyone experience. And it was I think it was my second time going.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll have to bring you guys. We'll have to do it. It'll be fun.
I would love to do that. Yeah. What is like, what's the good shit to eat at Club 33?
So the crazy thing about Club 33 is that the food gets changed every quarter.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So the only thing I think that stays the same, if I recall, is the alcohol beverage menu and the desserts. But everything else from your first course to your third course gets changed out.
I see.
Yeah, and the merch too. So if you're like, oh, I want to buy this hat, like that wasn't available during Club 33 this year, so it's gone now. So all of us, like, we went to Club 33. We spent hundreds of dollars on all these collectibles, knowing that we're never gonna come back here ever again. You know?
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. One day when I go, I will do the exact same thing. I know my wife would die. Club 33. Yeah. For those of you who are not aware, it's a secret club in Disneyland where you can eat, and it's like a secret society. But yeah, that'd be fucking great.
In order to be, I think if I recall, in order to be involved, you have to like be invited, and if you're invited, you have to pay. It sucks. It's like you have to pay a one-time initiation fee, which is like I want to say like 40 or 80 grand, something like that, and then you pay like I think you pay 20 grand a year to go.
Wow.
And even at that, you still have to pay for the food when you arrive.
That's so funny.
Yeah, but that membership fee gives you like free entry to the park for people you want to take to the club.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so if like, you know, Aaron and I joked that we would form a Game Grumps completionist trust fund where we could just get membership and then just share the financial burden every year.
So wait, so you get free entry to the park And anyone who you invite with you gets free entry to the park to go to the club?
It's like you get up. It depends on the prices and the bundles. I'm sure it's changed over the years, but to my understanding, it's been you pay your membership fee and they give you like up to 5. I think it's like 5 or 7 passes that are free. Or free. You pay for your membership, but you basically can just take those people with you into the park whenever you come, and that's like a part of your membership fee. And then you can take them to Club 33. The crazy thing about Club 33 is there are regulars that just come in all the time because they have membership. So like, you know, when we went, there was like a dude in a track jumpsuit just like eating and like all in like suit and tie, and we're like, dude, what the fuck?
So once you have the membership, you can go as many times as you want.
I think so. There might be at least within the year. I think there might be a cap of like how many times you can go within a week, but you can definitely can go. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if I'm sure I'm saying all the wrong information nowadays. But yeah. Oh, let's see. It's $25,000 to sign up.
Okay.
And then members have to pay an annual fee of $10,000 to $15,000 a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
And you get yeah. I'm trying to see. Oh, I'm looking at the thing right here. So you get access to the actual Club 33. You get free parking at the Grand California Resort and Spa.
Okay.
So that's pretty good if you're into that.
Yeah.
You get a set number of daily fast passes automatically.
Wow.
So you can just go, hey, I want to use these X amount of fast passes on these rides the minute you can, as opposed to like waiting, you know, that 2-hour window kind of thing.
Yeah. And
the difference is that there's different ones at the different parks. So the one in LA or Anaheim's different than the one in Florida. So
you have to pay separate.
I think so, or it might be good for both, and it's just that the offerings are slightly different.
Interesting.
So
one day.
Yeah, it'd be fun to go to all of them.
Yeah. Oh man, have you been to any of the other parks?
No, I've only. Oh, the parks. Yes, I went to Florida for the first time a couple years ago with my girlfriend, and that was a trip because I've always grown up on the California side of things.
Yeah.
So to kind of go on like Pirates and some of the more like Haunted Mansion, to see the differences there was a huge mind trip because the layout's different. Some of the animatronics are different. Like that was the biggest thing. But I don't know what I like more. I think between the two, I think to me the layout makes so much more sense over at California side.
Yes.
Whereas in Florida, there's 4 parks, right? But all of them, it's almost like California Adventure and Disneyland proper got chopped up into 4 parks instead of 2, and they kind of got pasted together with some new things like Animal Kingdom, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I really want to go to Tokyo Disney. I had the opportunity to go a few times when I was in Japan, and me and my group just didn't have the energy to go because we just felt like if we went, we would have to like
go hard,
only get the experiences that we're interested in and not like experience the entire park. I
see.
So I'm hoping that when I go back to Japan, that not only will I do all of that, but I'll get to go to Super Mario World because that'd be great.
I'm so excited for that. I will say I've been to Disney Sea. Disney Sea is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Highly recommend, just because it's so different than like a lot of the stuff that here. Just just pure looking around, it is such a beautiful park. And it's got some good rides too. I have not gone to Tokyo Disneyland proper yet, but I would like to go. And oh man, Super Nintendo World. That's like I got to take my pilgrimage there at some point. Like I am very, very excited to go. Every time I see videos of it, I want to die. Like it looks so.
Yeah, I'm curious to
good.
see the LA version of it. Because I know that they recently, my buddy works at a Universal as a tour guide, and they were saying that they just cleared out 2 sound stages to build the rides there, including the Mario Kart ride. So I'm curious to see how they bring it to California, let alone to the States, because I know that they have the floor space over in Florida, but in LA, like the Universal Studios is Universal Studios. There's only so many sound stages they can build until
Yeah.
they're out of space.
Right. One thing I'm curious about is what is the food gonna be like? Because the one in Japan is like yakisoba, right? I don't think they're gonna bring yakisoba over here or like anything that's more Japanese food centric. I'm wondering, is it gonna be like a fucking like cheeseburger mushroom instead? Or like I'm like what how are they gonna change things? That's what I'm curious about. But
Yeah, I imagine that like in Super Nintendo World in Japan, because it's obviously Nintendo in Japan and like the economy of it all, when they're thinking of like a portobello burger, right? Because you're eating a mushroom from Mario, that's like such a cool thing. But like in yakisoba and things like that. But here in the States, it's like you get Luigi mac and cheese, Princess Peach veggies, like.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm hoping they can preserve the sort of creativity of the food, because I don't know if you've seen the full menu of the Japanese park, but it looks pretty spectacular. I really want to go. I also just want to experience Osaka, so I'm excited for that as well. But one day when we can travel.
One day when everyone just hopefully gets vaccinated.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. Disneyland, let's go, man. Let's just go. There's so many people I know who are desperate to go back, and once some kind of pass system is back in, oh man, I want to go like as often as is feasible. I have missed that park so much. So we should go.
Me and my partner go there like once a week just to like have dinner and hang out, just because like that's our safe zone.
Yeah,
we'll make the drive, and it's like such a fun thing, but like we don't do that anymore. So like now what do we do?
Well, we're almost out of it. Yeah. Thank you for taking the time to sit down, man. Every time we talk, I'm always like this. I have a good time talking to you. And I would love to, like I said, go to Disney at some point, or even just hang. Like we should hang. Although obviously schedules can be a little tricky, but at some point for sure, man.
Absolutely. I think your wife a long time ago was like, I never played Mario RPG, and I was like, oh, we should play it together. So if she hasn't done it yet,
she still has not played Mario RPG. She should though. She should. Although,
yeah,
maybe hot take. Paper Mario is better. But
woo, it's a hot take.
It's a hot take.
I respect it.
Okay. Now where can people find you?
You can find me on YouTube over at youtube.com/thatonevideogamer, or you can just search The Completionist. On Twitch, I'm The Completionist. On Twitter, I'm Completionist. Instagram, I'm The Completionist. Pretty much, if you just search Jirard KHALIL, my name, you'll find Completionist and all my stuff attached to it.
All right. Well, thank you very much again, and we should talk soon.
Absolutely, man. This was awesome. Thank you for having me.
Of course.